Dear friends, I am back again with the second part of life of an ordinary or not ordinary average mathematician. But before I start, I would like to thank all my subscribers for getting me a congratulatory message from YouTube by having 1000 subscribers now. Without you, this channel wouldn't have been possible. I have two of my colleagues from IIT Kanpur whom I know personally are in part of that YouTube channel. Professor Surajit Sinha of my Department of Economic Sciences is a fantastic economics teacher and somebody with a very good economic intuition, and my former department's young colleague whom I respect a lot, Professor Shubhra Shankar Dhar, excellent researcher in statistics, and all you friends all over this country who has been a part of my journey in this as a YouTuber, as well as those from abroad listening to this mathematics student or an average mathematician for quite some time now. So, our channel is a mix of things. It is a chit chat, it is a kind of chit chat along with some mathematics, which is nowadays I have converted into blackboard mathematics, where things are written and then explained and it can be rewritten. So, all these things are there, and so it has been a good journey. It has been a lot of learning for me, because to do these YouTube videos a lot of things have to be read up, a lot of things have to be seen, so that mistakes are not made and mistakes are corrected and so forth. So, let me start where I had left off on the last video, the first part actually. So, I told you that I was taken to the library by my research supervisor, has given a paper called Lagrange multipliers and optimality by Rockefeller, and I was told that okay guy, see if you can do something with this, fine, or else means very sad. I said okay, let me start reading this paper, and I did, as you know. I told you first few pages, but it was enough to hook me onto this subject for life. And here is this paper. I hope you can now read the name, Lagrange multipliers and optimality by Art Tyrrell Rockefeller, one of the greatest names in optimization. 10 years after I have actually first seen the paper, I read the whole paper and could write a paper based on this. Now, many people have asked me, how do you ask questions in research? Questions in research can be very simple questions. Maybe you are just interested to know whether if I tweak this, what will happen, if I tweak that, what will happen. In a given research paper, I start tweaking things and see whether results are carried over or not, whether the results here can be seen in a much more broader and general level. That actually becomes a part of mathematical research, and that can go as a publication. Okay. So, let me just start with telling you how did I get into this. If you look at this paper, the first page of the paper, I am not. So, you will see that here he has written a mathematical programming problem where you are minimizing a function f naught subject to certain constraints f I x. Some of these f I x's are less than equal to 0, s number of them, and the remaining are equal to 0. It is a combination of both equality and inequality constraint, and there is a abstract constraint. So, all the x's which satisfy these inequalities and equalities must be restricted to a set capital X, which could be open, closed, anything. So, I even asked Terry Rockefeller about whether it was really a survey paper, but he said no, he wrote down when it is a part of his John von Neumann lecture where he got that prize. So, he wrote it down. It was actually a very original paper. Here there is a famous statement by Rockefeller which has been used by many optimizers in many contexts, that the great watershed in optimization is not between linearity and non-linearity, but between convexity and non-convexity, which is true now actually. Its convexity is a more tractable thing, while non-convexity is kind of a no-go zone. Now, what questions did I ask and what paper I wrote? Actually, I was teaching Karush-Kuntakar conditions, and there were a lot of engineering students in my course called optimization. It was numbered MTH 506 at IIT Kanpur. and there I used this implicit function theorem when it came to equality constants. Now, implicit function theorem needs a little work to understand the idea. So, which tells you that okay, if given a function f x y equal to 0, if we cannot write y as a function of x, on the whole you can have a neighborhood under certain condition on which you can write y as a function of x. That is the basic idea. So, what you cannot do on the whole can be done under certain assumptions locally, but this is not very natural. This does not come into your mind so easily, especially engineers who are trained more in the algorithmic way of thinking does not appreciate if you just talk about this. Even mathematicians won't. It is not, I would say that most people ask, unless somebody uses implicit function day in and day out, implicit function theorem, people will not be able to tell you. Now, what happened is that then I tried to figure out how to do it, and I found some proof with using penalty by EGM action, etc., etc. Then I thought, okay, let me do one thing. Let me go back and look at this paper where I found a similar type of approach taken by Rockefeller. And Rockefeller, quite at the end of the paper, where he is trying to provide a justification of Lagrange multipliers as a kind of subgradients or kind of derivatives. He wrote a paper he wrote a result which I will just show you. Just give me a minute. Oh my God! So this is his theorem 10.1. Look at this theorem 10.1. It's very bad, I know, but theorem 10.1. With the light is not enough. So, in this theorem 10.1, he writes down an optimality condition by assuming all the functions f1, f2, all the f0, f1, f2 up to fm all are differentiable. You can see the gradient signs. If I bring near, you can see the gradient signs. So, in theorem 10.1, he actually proves this result. This is theorem 10.1. This is the theorem 10.1. So, it has part use of non-differentiability. So, it is a very general type of optimization problem where you have written the constants are written in some composition of functions. A Lord semi-continuous function composed with a continuous function. It is not so easy to get into this thing. So, and all the functions, the main functions inside this capital F function, this capital F that you see here, if you look at this 10.5, I am trying my best to show you. So, look at this 10.5, this line, the 10.5 equation is usually it as y element of del rho of f x bar. F x bar is a function from say Rn to Rm. So, it has m functions f1, f2 dot 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 fm. Now, all these f1, f2, fm are all differentiable functions. So, my question was, suppose these were not differentiable, just locally Lipschitz functions, and with the tools that we know how to talk about non-differentiable local Lipschitz functions, can such an optimality condition be written down? Is it a straightforward thing or the technicalities change? To what level, to what extent this result can be generalized, to what setting? So, that was my question and I tried to answer it, and it finally got published in Pacific Journal of Optimization, which is a journal which comes from Japan. I just sent it to one of my colleagues who happened to be Professor Michel Thera of friends and who happened to be one of the associate editors. So, he sent it out for referring. He said, okay, let me see and talk it out and see what people think about it. If I am ready to put it on that paper, I said, okay. So, it was not something great original thing I did. It was just a question that I asked, okay, maybe even in this very general case, we can avoid implicit function theorems and all these things and take a more penalty function, more algorithmic approach to derive results, even when the objective and constant functions are just locally Lipschitz and need not be differentiable. Locally Lipschitz functions are not differentiable, they are differentiable almost everywhere. This is the famous Rademacher's theorem, but they need not be differentiable on the whole. A famous example, f x is equal to the absolute value of x or f x is equal to norm of x or whatever. There are many good examples of local ellipsis functions. Convex functions are a subclass of that local ellipsis function. So, that is a whole kind of theory that I do not want to get into this. So, I could write a paper. So, you ask very simple questions, you are not always asking very deep questions. Of course, it is not that I never asked much deeper questions, but this was just a kind of a playful thing that okay, I was asked in the class, and so I figured out what is the proof can be done, whether proofs can be done without use of implicit function theorem. Can I write down the KKT conditions where both equality and inequality constraints are present? And in this very general setting, can the same tools of this penalty approach be used? And it is amazing that they can be used, and and this paper which finally got accepted, and I think I will put that result in my new book as a kind of a generalization of what Rockefeller did. So, it's just kind of fun, you are just having fun, you are asking a question and there is nobody around to answer you that, or you are telling okay, let me seek it out, rather than actually depending on somebody to answer, you are seeking out the answer yourself. A lot of research is done in this way, and most of the interesting ideas of my research work in my life has never come when I was sitting in my desk and trying to do things. So, maybe you are frustrated and you couldn't do things, you just take a cup of coffee or go and sit in CCD or somewhere or Starbucks or wherever and just take a cup of coffee, relax and take a walk, and suddenly ideas come in. That's possibly the very nature of mathematical research, because when I went to do my postdoc in Europe, in Barcelona, in this beautiful magnificent city of Barcelona in Spain, in economics department by the way, that was the way things were, that you really do your research over coffee. So, here today I wanted to tell you that how questions can be asked and how research can be done in just you know, kind of in a very simple way. Ask a simple question. Somebody can ask what is the big issue, differentiable था तो आपने non differentiable कर दिया, पूछ लिया, but there is a big issue. The move away from differentiability in optimization is a very big issue. It changes the whole gamut of the subject. Optimization is now a thriving part of modern applied mathematics, because you realize that lot of your application comes with this added appendage that your objective functions or some of your constraints can be non-differentiable. So, if you take the maximum of two functions f1x and f2x and write that this maximum for every x, I will find the maximum between f1x and f2x, and this would be the value of the function f of x at x, f at x. So, basically the function value fx is the maximum two functions f1x and f2x. In these kind of situations, non-smoothness intrinsically comes in, and they are the non-smoothness or non-differentiability lies at the very point where there is an optima. So, the whole gamut of a new subject called non-smooth optimization or non-differentiable optimization started. That is, the functions are continuous, but they are not differentiable. So, differentiability was the holy grail of optimization. You had learned this from the very first starting day in your calculus courses, that you just do f dash x equal to 0 and do the other stuff. But here the story changes, and this is a and these kind of problems are very important. They appear rapidly in engineering, they appear rapidly in economics. For example, if I write minimize f of x subject to f I x less than equal to 0. Now, I is running from say 1 to m or k, whatever. Now, if I write, I can replace this m k constants or m constants, m equality constant by one constant, that is max of f1x, f2x dot fkx less than equal to 0. They are equivalent. They have the same feasible set, so problems are same. So, but once I have taken a max, this is an intrinsically non-differentiable function. Just take two straight line equations, draw two straight lines in your notebook, say you draw y equal to x and y equal to minus x and take the maximum of these two at every x. You know what you will get? You get back the function, the absolute value of x. Absolute value of x is the max of x and minus x, and that is why. And where is the optima? It is at 0, and at 0 there is no differentiability. So, this is the key of modern optimization, non-differentiability. So, it is to move from differentiability to non-differentiability. It is a paradigm shift. Now, you are trying to see whatever is possible for the differentiable case can be brought to this new paradigm. So, that needs work. So, a thing which looks as a very simple questions, not something very deep and profound you are asking about changing the subject's very texture. You are asking that whether things which were known on the home turf can be known on a much more difficult, on a foreign turf like non-differentiability. That's the key idea. So, I received my PhD in 1998 and went and worked in a college near my home here Siliguri, and I think that would be a part of my next talk as how I moved to my postdoc, what happened, etc. You might be wondering why I am trying to call myself an average mathematician. What is a mathematician and what is a mathematical researcher? Don't mind for this longish talk because a kind of happy day for 1000 subscribers, you see. So, what happens is that there is a kind of idea that a mathematician must be knowing all kinds of mathematics, all parts of mathematics. Whether it is PO, applied these, that he must know PD, he must know algebraic geometry, he must know algebraic topology, statistics, anything that you want, number theory. But no, it is not really possible. There are some people who know a lot of stuff and they can connect and work in various areas. They are called universal mathematicians, and they are very few. They have amazing abilities. It's kind of nature has given them things in abundance, which we don't have, everybody have. So, I call myself an average mathematician because this is where my convexity idea also comes in, convex combination, right. So, basically I consider myself as a mathematics student still learning about a lot of things, and of course, I did some work of some meaning in some area of mathematics, which is optimization, where you play this maximization minimization game. So, in that sense I can be a mathematician, can be called slightly a mathematician. So, a slight mathematician and slight student, if you average them, I became an average mathematician. So, that changes this structure, why I called myself an average mathematician and not a mathematician. My aim as I grow older, so I am 52, as I am growing older, I am possibly going by Hardy's dictum, G.H. Hardy, to whom Ramanujan went from India, that young men should prove theorems and old men should write books. So, I had proven several theorems, done several things. So, now maybe I should write books or talk about, tell the youngsters some good things that I possibly know. It is difficult to say what I mean by knowing and what I mean by understanding, that you get into a lot of philosophical stuff, but that is not a good idea, you don't enjoy things. To really know something or learn something, you have to know it through its technicalities. Of course, it is no harm to read popular books, it is no harm to read anything, any nice writing about any subject, but to learn a subject, if you want any part of mathematics or physics, you need to know it technically, then you will have a feeling about the subject. The whole idea is to develop a feel. So, for example, I now have a feel about optimization. So, that feel needed a lot of hard work over the years, and I could come up to a certain level. It is not that I have stopped doing my research or stopped thinking about new research problems, it is not like that. But I think as you grow old, your agility comes down a bit. You still continue doing it. You need support of your good PhD students. You need PhD students. You need postdoctoral students, which we all have. And then also you become a more of an idea churner. You have more ideas in your brain. Okay, one can take this path because you have walked a lot in the jungle, so that you can get paths out of it. So research is like this. When I talk to a student, I tell them there are two types of scholars actually. One is a researcher and one is a scholar, a knowledgeable scholar. So there is a jungle and there are two people. So one was said, okay, you explore the jungle. The researcher will simply get into the jungle and try to figure out how to get out of it. The scholar would actually, the knowledgeable scholar would actually sit and read about the jungle. Read and read and read about the jungle. That after reading about the jungle, he will have so much knowledge about the jungle, he will have so much information about the jungle that he might even give up the idea of getting into that jungle. So what I mean to say is that when you get into a research, just get into it. If you really want to get into mathematical research and learn on the job, you try to figure your way out of that labyrinth, rather than trying to know a lot of subjects about mathematics in detail and then trying to do research. It usually does not work that way, at least in my experience. So the one who just went into the jungle, the explorer, was the researcher. The scholar had read about what this new explorer had gone. He read about what they have written about the jungle, and his preconceived, he gets sort of preconceived notions in his mind, to the extent that he might not even try to get into the periphery of the jungle. So this happens with rapid rate all over the world. So the number of explorers are always less than the number of scholars. It is there in every country. It's not there. It's in India too. Now, doing a PhD and knowing a lot of subjects doesn't tell you that you would be able to tell something interesting in some part of mathematics. There are many researchers I know, which includes myself. They don't know about many subjects of mathematics. They might be completely ignorant. I'm very ignorant about many parts of mathematics. But when it comes to their subject, they can give you a fairly nice idea of what to do and what route to take and which hill to climb and where the fun lies, which road is filled with adventure. So that the researchers are having adventures. So coming into YouTube is to share with you this adventure and share with you how these many years of research experience has shaped my thinking about mathematics, how I look at mathematics, how I think about it. Because once you have done a lot of research for over the years, doing mathematics or reading mathematics, known mathematics, even calculus, is like a research problem. You rethink over it. Given an old concept which you know, you rethink over it. Can you tell it better, in a better way? Is there something new to understand about it? Maybe that's the way my thinking would actually go on. So I again thank all of you for taking part in this journey. And as I told you that by asking simple questions also you can do research. And the next part of this story would begin on a train leaving New Jalpaiguri towards a place called Haldibari, and I have to get down at a place called Jalpaiguri to go and teach in an all women's college where they don't even have a major in mathematics. That type of fate also I had faced, but then again came back to research because I kept on the zeal, the fire of doing research burning within me, which still burns, and still I want to go in pursuit of interesting ideas. What happens in research is that 80% of the ideas that you think about, sorry, no, my case it will be 95% of the ideas that I think about actually fails. I can't do anything about it. They go, I dream about them, but I just can't. Possibly in many cases I don't even have the capability to do that. But 5% of the ideas work, and they have given me a lot of joy that at least 5% of my ideas I could work out and actually publish them. My peers have read it. People reread it, people discuss it, people use it, and that's where lies your reward. And another biggest reward is through this YouTube channel I am able to connect with many students of this country, and that is also a reward which I consider to be a greater reward. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.